So I was kind of waiting for this leak, to be honest, because there isn't much more that Samsung can really do to make the Z Flip series any better or innovate it in any way to make it better every year. Like, we're now getting to a point. Z Fold series, they can make the outside display bigger. They can, give a bigger battery, stuff like that. But for the Z Flip series, I feel like we're kind of, in a way, like, there's nothing more you can do. Like, yeah, you can add maybe a different shell, make it titanium, right? The simple things that seem like every company at this point is trying to do. But other than that, there isn't much more. So, according to SamsungMobile.com, the Z Flip 6 might get more gigabytes of RAM. And I feel like this is going to be overkill for the said device of the Z Flip 6. It will pack a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor in it. It will also, of course, have 120 hertz on both displays like the predecessor did. Maybe the phone's a tad bit bigger than it was before because of the fact that they're trying out, different screen layouts. But again, like I said, other than maybe adding a tad bit bigger of a battery, which they can't go too crazy here because, again, they're still trying to keep this phone very thin and minimalistic. Based on rumors, they could be adding 12 gigabytes of RAM to this bad boy. Now, again, like I said, there is a point where RAM becomes overkill for a cell phone, right? Now, when you have a beautiful, big, foldable display like a Z Fold 6, coming out, but Z Fold 5, or you have a Pixel Fold, a OnePlus Open, that you're multitasking on with a lot of different windows, you have that 7.6-inch display, the more RAM, the better, right? And especially when it comes to gaming and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, you could still do all this stuff on the Z Flip 6, but I feel like there's less of a, bottleneck of having so many things going on at once. So I feel like this is going to be one of those situations where the Z Fold 6 is going to be a huge upgrade for the Z Fold 5, mainly because the Z Fold 4 wasn't really an upgrade to the Z Fold 5. That really wasn't a change at all. I think that the Z Flip 6 is not going to be an upgrade. I think it's going to add, again, like I said, more gigabytes of RAM, maybe a tad bit bigger of a battery, but it's going to be very much the same device. Upgraded sensors in the camera, Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor, which, to be honest, with how good these chips are nowadays, with the Snapdragon 8 1, 2, and 3 processors, it is such a small upgrade at the end of the day. I know you might say, well, I want to get the latest and greatest, and I get that. Trust me, everyone understands that. That's just kind of like human nature when it comes to tech. You love tech. You always want the best, the newest, the greatest, tech possible. But at the end of the day, it really never is that big of a difference between a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor and a Gen 3. It's more powerful, it is, but for daily tasks, you're not really going to see a difference. And that's another thing. It's like 12 gigabytes of RAM. Oh, they're updating, they're changing it. But nobody, or the average user, I won't say nobody, the average user who picks this phone up isn't a workhorse, or type user. They're not a user that's going to utilize 12 gigabytes of RAM. So it's one of those upgrades where if you can and you are willing to, my recommendation would be get the previous version of the phone. Get the Z Flip 5 when it goes up for no money because everyone wants to upgrade to this phone. And you're going to be a lot happier with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor because you're not going to be paying as much money, right? And that's what I kind of feel like some of these phones are. And the same concept really applied to the Z Flip or Z Fold 5 when it came to Z Fold 4. But now we're hearing, horror stories of the Z Fold 4's hinge breaking. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how that ends up turning out and that ends up becoming a mass problem or not, which is very possible it does, that the hinges start to break and, start to cause problems. But with that being said, though, I'll be interested to see, what this ends up coming out and what ends up looking like. But we're getting to a point now with the Z Flip series especially there's only so much more they can add before it just becomes like nothing really is upgraded. Guys, tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.